Hello, and welcome to Frozen Prairie Scouting. Today we have a fun one. We're going to be talking about if I was a GM, how I would draft this draft. If I was the GM for each team, where would I pick somebody? Why I would pick that person. So obviously we all know this draft is very, very different than previous years. So I think that makes it a lot of fun. You're all looking at different mock drafts. We're all seeing different things, but every scout has their own perspective, and I think that's what makes this a lot of fun. All of you probably, if you're watching this, you're big draft nuts. So let's have some fun today. And yeah, welcome back. And I appreciate all the views and all the listens and all the watches. It's just a guy trying to have some fun, right? So that's the way I look at this. Without further ado, here's my 2026 NHL Mock Draft if I was the GM. All right, so let's see where we're at. Obviously, number one, got the Toronto Maple Leafs. And we all have a good idea that they're going to be selecting Gavin McKenna. With the first pick, it makes the most sense. Most star power, highest ceiling. Recently saw some professionals saying Panarin, he feels like he's more of a Kucherov. Either way, if you're getting that kind of player on the wing, Austin Matthews will likely stay. So Gavin McKenna, Penn State, forward, number one. Number two, the smoke screen, it's going to be Ivar Stenberg. San Jose doesn't move. It's Ivar Stenberg. They're taking the top player on the board. Gives them the opportunity to trade some of their other guys and get them the potential defenseman that they want with using trade assets. I think Ivar Stenberg would look way too good beside either Celebrini or Misa. Makes zero sense not to take him there. Number three, we have the Vancouver Canucks, and this is kind of where the draft changes. I see Keaton Verhoff going here. I don't know if they took him out to lunch or not, but it makes a lot of sense, Keaton Verhoff. You're not going to be good for a while. Vancouver Canucks, you take the 6'4", he-man skates well. Some people have him as high as number one on their boards, I've been reading. Personally, I think he's the best defenseman in the class, and that's me looking at the bigger picture. He went to college. He would have put up way more points than Carroll's. I think he would have. I still love Carson Carroll's, but I see Keaton Verhoff as the number one, highest ceiling player. It's a little bit of the McKenna Stenberg same thing. Verhoff, I think, has the highest ceiling personally, and I think he's added a lot to his game over the year. Chicago Blackhawks. Here we go. We got Carson Carroll's. Makes the most sense beside Leshnoff. He's going to be a safety valve there. I think he's going to grow into a very, very good defenseman as well. Him and Leshnoff will be a nice pairing throughout the year. Thinking almost like a Keith Seabrook style. I think Carson Carroll's is going to be loved in Chicago, and I think it's a perfect fit for him. Next, New York Rangers taking Caleb Malhotra, centerman. I like Caleb Malhotra a lot, but I see 2C as his ceiling. I don't see the 1C thing that others are seeing. I think next year is going to be a big year for him. Him and Tynan Lawrence playing at BU together. I'm really wondering what type of player we're going to see in the future. I mean, the OHL and the CHL has been a bit watered down this year, losing some of their top guys. So with the numbers he put up this year, it wasn't even that amazing of numbers. He played on a very, very good team. I think people are falling in love with the centerman a bit too much, but I still think he's a top 5 player, don't get me wrong. But when people are saying take him 1, take him 2, this doesn't make sense to me. I think there's players better. But he's a very good player, and I think New York would be very happy to have him. 6, Calgary Flames. To me, this should be a lock unless Carroll's falls. Smith makes the most sense here. He's the most NHL-rated player in this whole class. I think there's a lot more to his game. I don't think he'll ever be crazy, but I think he'll be a top 4 defenseman for his entire career. I think he'll look really good beside Prairie. There's more offense there with him than we see. Yes, he has to rein a few things in, but I'd rather rein a guy in than have to, get him going. He's a pro. And with that Moritz Seider, I think he's almost there. I think Moritz is obviously a strong player, and I think Albert Smith can get close to there. And I think the Flames will be really happy to have him, and I think he'll be a 12-year player minimum. Seattle Kraken, here's where Chase Reed's fall stops, and it makes a lot of sense. The market makes sense, the player makes sense, what they need makes sense. He's still going to be a very, very good NHLer. I have a hard time putting him ahead of Verhoff, Carroll. So with that, yeah, Chase Reed to the Seattle Kraken. Next at number 8, we have Viggo Bjork. Winnipeg, they need to get a centerman. I think Viggo would look really, really nice there. I think that just the fit is good too. Like, he's, Swedish guy, just a hard worker, got a bit of grit to his game, plays the right way, just a professional. And I think going to Winnipeg would be a really nice spot for him. So it just makes a lot of sense to me here, and it also makes sense board-wise. He would be my number 1 player left on the board here. So Viggo off to Winnipeg. Florida Panthers, Ethan Belchetz. He's not my next best player available, but he's right up there. And the style play, the size, the skill, it all just kind of screams Florida Panthers. It screams like they got lucky to get into a top 10 pick this year because they had a tough year. They have their pick, and they get Ethan Belchetz. And I think he's a year away, and then he'll be right there, and they'll have their player on an entry-level contract that's going to be competing every night and helping them move forward. Next, at 10, I've done this one quite a few times, but Tynan Lawrence to Nashville. They get another centerman this year. Play with Brady Martin. You get 2 different styles of players back to back, and it just feels like you're building something really good down the middle there. And I was hearing some things that he had a tough week with his interviews and stuff, but I still really like the kid. I think he's going to be a player, and I like a guy that's loyal to go back to the USHL, even though he could have gone to the CHL, had a good year, and then moved to BU, and then tried to challenge himself halfway through the year going to BU. I don't hate that idea. I think he's going to hit the ground running at the start of next season, and we're all going to be like, why wasn't he drafted higher than 10, right? So let's leave it at that. At 11, St. Louis Blues get Dax and Rudolph. Man, this draft is so good on defensemen. Watching all of them. Dax and Rudolph just controls the play, plays well, has, a few things to work on, but I think at Denver he's going to look really, really, really good in that system with David Carl. And Blues fans are going to be very happy with this pick. I could easily see him, moving up in the draft. But the way this one kind of rolled out was Dax and Rudolph was here, and if I'm St. Louis, I'm running to the podium to grab him. Just makes too much sense. They need a right-hand defenseman. He's going to, him and Jiricek will look really nice in the top 4 in the future. Whoever, makes the jump into taking that number 2 spot, then you got your 2 strong right-handed defensemen. Both have puck movement ability. Both can play the point on the power play. Even Dax and Rudolph can actually play the wall there. So it just makes a lot of sense here. The New Jersey Devils. I know this is a bit of a weird one here, but Adam Novotny out of Peterborough. I like Adam Novotny a lot, and I think this is going to be a pro player. He's a bit bigger, skates well, has some grit to his game, scores. I just feel like this is a player New Jersey needs to add to this team. And I really would like to see them do something different than the skill guy. You already got Hughes, you got Jesper Bratt, you got start adding something to give yourself the opportunity to move further in the playoffs, right? And this is the kind of player that would help you. New York Islanders, Oscar Hemming, similar to Novotny, right? You're getting the big power forward. Hemming played really well in the games I watched at BC. Obviously had a weird year, but I think this is a player that I would swing on if I'm the Islanders. And I'm a big fan. I think he would have gone higher if he played the full year. And I think this is still really high for him. Obviously, only playing, I can't even remember the exact amount of games, but you're getting a Tom Wilson style player when I watch him play. Obviously, he didn't fight or anything, but he finishes every check. He's brutal to play against. He wins puck battles. He's got offense. He can skate pretty well. He's got that prototypical power forward that would just fit really well into that system on Long Island. Next, Columbus Blue Jackets at 14. They grab Wyatt Cullen. They need a skilled forward that can play, and Wyatt Cullen plays the game the right way. There's some things, right? He does things a little bit too much by himself, but I think if we see him at Minnesota next year when he's playing with some higher skill, it's all, NTDP had a tough year this year. They didn't have that high-end skill, right? Could you imagine Cullen playing with JP Hurlburt this year? They were missing those kind of guys. And I think when he gets to Minnesota and how they've been picking up some pretty good players there, you'll see a big jump from him. And I think Columbus just feels like a really good fit for a player like Wyatt Cullen. St. Louis Blues, you get your left-handed defenseman now, Malte Gustafsson. And this is a player they have their eye on. And I think if you can grab two strong defensemen here, it makes your team that much better. And you're getting two good size defensemen. Malte Gustafsson has a little bit more of that defenseman ability. So either putting him next to Rudolph or Jiricek in the future looks really good on the Blues side. And it's a big reason how they won their cup. They had a good defense and a good goaltender and some good players down the middle. You got to rebuild that a little bit there in St. Louis, and this is a good draft to do it, especially with the defensemen they have. Washington Capitals grabbed Nikita Klepov, and I've seen some people put him in the top 10. They need a player like this. They need to bring in more scoring. They've got some grit. They got some size. They got a little bit of that right there. You got Dylan Strome, a setup guy. You need a guy that can finish, can add a little bit more to the game. And you win by scoring. So you need to get guys that can do that. And Klepov, he's got some offense in him. Great offensive IQ. And he does some little things around the net or coming down one-on-one that it's nice to see. You don't see a lot of that nowadays of protecting the puck, getting the goals, getting to the net. He knows where to score. He knows how to score, and he knows how to set up guys. LA Kings, Oliver Savanto. Losing Anze Kopitar is going to be huge for them. You need to replace that guy down the middle. Savanto plays a game that, heavy. He played a lot of games in the Liga this year. Didn't put up the numbers, but there is offense there. And he wins some battles. He does all these little things. He plays well in his own end. So a guy like this is somebody that you want to add, especially down the middle. And there's not a lot of centermen in this draft. And I feel like LA needs to add a player like this into their system. They need to add a lot to their system as well. Next, Washington grabs Ryan Lynn at 18 here. Very, very smart, high IQ defenseman. Um, wish he was able to play a little bit more. Um, he on When you look at his elite prospects page, he looks like an offensive defenseman. But really, what Ryan Lynn is a two-way defenseman that plays the game properly. He's high IQ. He makes little plays. He's going to fit into that Spencer Carberry style of play, where you have, Dylan Strome, Pierre-Luc Dubois, some other guys coming up, like I believe it's Connor McMichael there. You got he's going to have players to get the puck to, and they just added Cole Hudson. Ryan Lynn will be a great addition as well. So I think you're putting the guy in the right system for him to succeed, and I'm really excited to see him and Rudolph at Denver next year. NCAA is going to be a lot of fun to watch. And then Utah Mammoth, as they draft, the way they draft, they like big players, and Brooks Rogowski is a big boy, and they don't need the high end guys. Utah has Gunther, Cooley, all these players that are the successful offensive players. You had a guy like Brooks Rogowski, who is out of the Oshawa system, from the Michigan area, and somebody who's got size beyond belief. I believe he was 6'6" when I was looking. I was trying to get his numbers from the combine. This is going to be a fun player to watch. And I think he flies up the draft board a little bit here, but he's a 6'7" forward at 236, shoots right. His name's been flying up a bit, right, because of the size. And I think a team like Utah, who's been typically the team that drafts big players, is going to fancy a guy like this. And really, they can kind of draft for need. They have a really good prospect system. So grabbing a guy like Rogowski makes a lot of sense here for them. San Jose Sharks. A lot of times I've had Pipperine in here, but the more I think about San Jose and the more I think about my draft board here, I like Morozov. I think there's a lot more in his game. Obviously, youngest player until Oscar Hemming got to BC in the NCAA. He played at a school that gave him the minutes, and he used those minutes wisely. He was a reliable player, plays the game the right way, and I really, really like what he brings, and I think he would fit really nicely there in San Jose as a future number 3 center. And now you have your Celebrini, Misa, Morozov. You better watch out for San Jose because they're building something special there. And if they trade some of their other prospects and get that defenseman that they need, they're not far away from making a run. At 21, Philadelphia, Maddox Dagenet. Yes, I have Dagenet rated up in this area, but when I look at what Philly drafts and what Philly fans like, and this just seemed like the right fit. And I think it would be a lot of fun to be watching Dagenet in a Flyers jersey in the future. Him, Martone. I guess we'll see what they do with Mishkov, but Dagenet had a really good second half of the season. He's got a lot of size. He's got a lot of ability, and I don't know where he's going next year. I got to double check if he's announced anything. I think he's heading back to Quebec, but I guess we can double check. But point per game player, 30 goals in the league there. He didn't have the best season last year, but you're getting a guy that's 6'4", skates well, has some hands, sees the ice well. And I mean, you're drafting him to fit well into that lineup, and I think he can play up and down it no matter what you need. So it's why I like that guy so much. Next, we got Pittsburgh here. In the past, I've done Xavier, our boy Zav there, out of the queue. But the more I think about it, and try and put myself a bit in Dubas' shoes, but again, this is if I was the GM, I'd pick Hurlburt. You got to start adding some more. Defense would be a nice pick here for Pittsburgh, but you saw what they did with a guy with such high hockey IQ in Kindle. Hurlburt's got a very high IQ. He scores well. He doesn't again, this is not a ton of size, but it just fits the Pittsburgh way here. And I would really love to see a guy like Hurlburt there as they bring in the next generation there. And I think a guy with the IQ, the skills, the ability, heading off to Michigan, maybe he's going to play a year with Horkoff, get some connection there. And I think those two would look really good in the future in Pittsburgh. And then Boston Bruins. Maxim Sokolovsky out of London, 6'6" defenseman. Plays a bit like Nikita Zadorov. He's got a little bit of room left to grow. Not like size-wise, but into his game. I'm happy he's going back to London and play a bit more in that system before he makes the jump anywhere else. I believe he's Maine has his rights, so we'll see what happens there. Especially when you get drafted higher, some of the bigger schools start to call. He plays the puck on the line really well. He finishes all his checks. He loves to make a big hit. Tuned up a few guys in fights this year. He looks like he enjoys doing that. And wouldn't every team want a player like this on their back end? The more I've watched this guy, the more I've started to like him a lot. And I know he's jumping up a little bit on the board here, but it fits the Boston way. And we saw what they did this summer. Instead of going out and getting the top guys, we just want to be hard to play against. Well, this guy's hard to play against. And as he gets bigger, as he gets more into his body, he's going to be really hard to play against. Vancouver Canucks grab Alexander Command, a centerman that you know what you're going to get out of him. He is going to be a two-way forward. He plays more on the defensive side. I think there's a bit more in his game on the offensive side, but this is a guy that teams are starting to really fall in love with. And if he moves himself into the top 20, I'm not going to be surprised at all. I've liked him a lot. I've slowly crept up my board here, but it just if I was the Canucks here, this is who I'm grabbing. And if I'm the Canucks, I'm just starting to add guys that are gonna, be players, right? So in that top 5 spot, number 3, you want to get a player that's had the ability to, be a top 2 defenseman, and that's with Verhoff. In the 24s, I want a player that I'm not trying to swing on, especially when I'm rebuilding. I'm gonna grab a guy like Alexander Command. He's gonna play in the NHL, right? And you know what you're gonna get out of him, and that makes a lot of sense here. Seattle Kraken, I got them grabbing another defenseman here in William Hawkinson. People are getting mad at me for giving them a goalie. Everywhere I look, they say they need a goaltender. But we'll grab Adelule, William Hawkinson, another defenseman. He's got some size. He's got some ability. He's going to be somewhere in the 5'6" range. And, plays the game smart. Doesn't look for too much out of the ordinary in his game. Left-hand shot. He's got the extra year here because he's a late birthday. And he's got a good frame, good length, got some physical tools, and he plays that defensive style role. And at 25, I want a guy that's going to play in my lineup eventually, right? I'm not I'm not trying to swing right now, especially if I'm trying to rebuild my system. New York Rangers, they're going to take the swing though, because that's what they do. And I don't think Adam Fox is going to last much longer there. Yes, I haven't heard anything. I don't know anything. I'm not. It's just me making an assumption here. Zav out of Blainville will take over kind of that power play spot in the future. He's heading down to BU. Good spot for him, especially with how the Hudson brothers turned out. And I think he's going to have a really strong year. And I hope he gets more playing time. He's a very competitive kid. He wants to be out there. He wants the puck. He wants to do things. And it's something that I really like about him when I watch him play. Confident, not afraid. Wants to make you look a little bit silly. So that's what you get out of a guy like Zav. Buffalo Sabres, they're taking a bit of a swing here in Ryan Rubrick out of Niagara there. And if I'm the GM there, if I'm Yarmo, you're getting a guy with size. You're getting a guy that can skate. You're getting a guy that had a lot of high expectations coming into the year, and obviously he didn't hit it. But when I look at his frame of work and what I'm working with and what I'm going to develop, you're going to get a guy that's going to play in the NHL the way I see it. He's got the size, he's got the skating, he's got some IQ. He's playing in a pretty weird spot in Niagara. I don't know what's going on there. It used to be an amazing place to play, and it just seems like such a tire fire lately. So hopefully they figure that out, and I hope Rubrick finds somewhere to go next year that helps with his development, because I think he kind of lost a year this year. Montreal Canadiens, they take the kid out of Moncton, Tommy Blale, who's been moving up a lot of draft boards here. Offensive style, had a big jump this year, coming from prep school hockey last year, and still puts up 80-some points. It sounds like he's going back to Moncton, and I mean, hard not to when you got Gardner McDougall there as the coach. You got an unbelievable place to play. You got a great fan base. I know a lot of people look funny at guys that do that, but I have a lot of respect for loyalty as well. You don't find it a lot lately. They gave him a shot. I would give them 2 years of my time and then go off to school. I think there's a lot more he can learn on both sides of the puck here. So that's where I have Tommy Blale going, is to Montreal Canadiens. St. Louis Blues, they grab Elton Hermanson, forward out of Modo. I haven't watched as much on him as I'd like to, but what I have, I liked. He played in the Allsvenskan this year, had a decent year, pretty good year. He's got some offensive ability. He's ranked right around this range here, maybe a little bit higher on most boards. Creates a lot of chances, drives a bit of play. He's got some offensive IQ that can make D-men look a little bit silly. So, and the puck seems to just stay on his stick. And when I say that, like, a lot of people are like, when you're playing hockey or something and you have a guy that they understand the game. They understand where the puck's going to go. They understand where the puck's going to be. They understand what they can do with the puck. It's a practiced maneuver. But he's got some good speed, which will translate well. And he likes to, had a pretty good year as a draft eligible Allsvenskan with 21 points in 38 games there. And he had a really good, world under 18s, where Sweden's been starting to do well. But he's a guy that puts up numbers in all those situations. So next year looks like he's got another year in the Allsvenskan, unless he gets loaned, which I kind of hope he does. And sometimes players like this, I'd like to see go to the CHL for a year. But you're playing against men. It's hard. It's really hard to understand what they should and shouldn't do, right? I mean, he's going back to the Allsvenskan. He gets to stay at home. These young guys, it is nice for them to learn there. But getting onto the North American small ice is also important for guys going to the NHL. Calgary Flames, Adam Valentini. I know this one's a little bit off the board here, but this is who I'm grabbing if I'm the Flames. I've liked Valentini for a couple of years now, and challenged himself really well going to Michigan, and I think having another year there is going to be big. This is a guy that Kitchener really, really wanted, and they won the Mem Cup without him. And could you imagine if they had him? He's got an ability. He's got a high hockey IQ, and there's a reason. I mean, he made the jump as a 17-year-old to Michigan. They see something in him as well, and I think if you're the Flames fans, you would be really excited about this pick in the future. He's a guy that plays the game really well. Now Carolina, Juho Piparainen out of Tappara. This makes a lot of sense. You get a defensive defenseman that can play that style of game that Carolina has. Skates well. Makes really good pop plays out of the corners. When I talk about pop, it's like you got your winger coming in or your centerman coming down low and slow. You make that pop play to him out of the corner. You take the pressure from the forward. Your guys are going out, heading north. Piparainen plays that pro style of defense, and I don't think he'd be far from the NHL when we look at this in the future. Ottawa Senators. Obviously, you get stuck with pick 32 here as Sens fans. Marcus Nordmark out of Djurgården. You guys all know I love this kid. He has a puck on the string. He's got, he's on the all hands team in my opinion. High IQ. He's got a bit of that clutch gene when they were at the U18s. He scored two big goals there in the final to tie it and then win it. I don't know why the love is kind of lost on Nordmark, but if I'm the Sens, I'm taking the swing here. You get stuck with this pick. You take a kid that at one point was ranked really high, and I don't know where all that love is gone, but he would look really, really good in a Sens uniform in the future. So that's who I'm going with. Now, thank you guys all for another great episode here of Frozen Prairie Scouting. Again, thank you for the patience, and give me a like and subscribe if you want to. I'm not here to try and make any money. I just, I'm a competitive guy, come from a hockey world. Obviously, I want to do well, but I just want you guys to enjoy this at the end of the day. And I enjoy doing this. So appreciate you guys. Thank you.